Get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a double feature looking at the new Tobruk historical battle. I kind of didn't really pay that much attention to the previous ones. I do have a replay of, I can't remember, one of the ones that was on Erlenberg. And I tried playing the previous set of historical battles. In fact, there was just one of them where if I had a victory with, was it the Russians or the Germans? I can't remember, but basically I could have picked up the final medal, because I had 2 of the 3 medals you could get. But I tried queuing and I tried queuing and I think I wasted about an hour trying to get that, and no, it just didn't work. So this is the first of my 9.1 replays. There has been an interesting new bug introduced in that, and I'm pretty sure this is the replay because I can't see how it would be with the mods. It seems to be ignoring colorblind mode, and it's fine when I play the game. Everything is just as it should be, but in replays, no, it's just ignoring colorblind mode. I know the minimap looks fine, and that's because it's Locastans, but you'll see when we see some enemy tanks, they will in fact be completely red. Well, you know what I mean. The markers will be red. So I wanted to talk about this a bit because they didn't exactly hype it up a bit, but I've played probably more of Tobruk than I have the rest of the historical battles. Maybe not combined, but of any individual historical battle they've put up so far. It's low-tier Germans versus low-tier Brits, and one of the reasons it did interest me is because it's the Brits. Everyone queues up for the Brits because they go, oh my god, Matilda OP, so if you're trying a Matilda, it's going to take ages. But the fact is, actually, it seems stacked in favour of the Germans, unless matchmaking is particularly favourable. Normally the Brits get fewer tanks than the Germans. There's also no limit on the Pz.III.s that the Germans get, which have got comparable armour to the Valentine, and we see the enemy team got particularly booked because they're all Crusaders, one Matilda. The Crusaders don't have any armour, so we see here I'm actually kind of hull down enough. I think he's hitting my gun mantler, but basically I'm able to own this guy all day long. Now the majority of the ones I played a session of 5 on the Thursday that's just gone, and then the other 10 I played on this Saturday, today. And that was because SilentStalker posted on FTR, hey everybody, let's all queue up at the same time. And there were actually a decent number of people queuing up, so that was a nice idea. I quite liked that. The sum total of the 5 battles I played in the week and the 10 I played today were UK won 4, Germany won 11. It's not very balanced, to be honest, and there were some good players on both sides playing today especially, and I think it was 3 of the 4 UK wins were today. Now here I was just a bit gung-ho, and look at the amount of damage I took there. Whoops. Yeah, I actually got shot by a friendly there as well, which not so good. But this is actually the very first game I did in the Pz.III, and we just ate these guys alive. And that's kind of an issue in that the matchmaking really restricts the number of Matildas, and the only game where the British team really did okay. I mean, 2 of the wins were times when I was playing the Brits, and 2 of the wins were times when I was playing the Germans. And I probably played more as the Brits than the Germans, so I suffered more losses than I did wins. But there was one match where matchmaking gave the British side 4 Matildas, and we just could not. They just ate us alive, basically. They had the rate of fire, and they could bounce enough of our shots that they were just able to kill us. There were a couple that were fairly close, but the majority of them were fairly easy wins for the German side, and it happens because the Crusaders just get eaten alive. The cruisers, God help them, get eaten alive, especially the Cruiser 2, which has got, what, 140 hit points, which is potentially 2 shots for the Pz.III. So there's no point taking that. The Valentine, honestly, I think I fared best in, and I tried queuing once for the Matilda, but basically what happens is all the soft tanks die, the Valentines, if there are any, die, and then the remaining Matildas just get kind of eaten alive. And the fact is, with the map they've given as well, there's not really that many great defensive positions. You get down to this situation and you can just get surrounded so easily, especially as, like I said, there doesn't really seem to be a restriction on the Pz.IIIs. they've got a fairly decent gun, not great gun depression, but the mobility is enough. I mean, it's basically light tank mobility on these things. That, I mean, look at this. This guy has just got too many things facing against him. And I've saved up my APCR for last. So here we go. This one, I mean, most of our team died, but we outnumbered them and we were able to easily beat them. And I think the worst one was where the Germans had twice as many as the British team, and I happened to be on the British team for that one, unfortunately, so you can imagine what a ruffle stomp that was. So we'll have a very quick look at the scores for that one, and then we will have a look at one of the very few British wins that I got as well. So that wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't awful. It's more like a team battle than it is a random battle, but obviously it being random matchmaking, you've got no idea who you're going to get put in with. So I actually did the best damage and I got the best score. I had the most kills, but it wasn't particularly difficult. There was actually a pair of enemy Crusaders that did 1800 damage between them, so they did more than anybody, but the tanks just aren't survivable enough given what they're facing off against. It really is down to the vagaries of the matchmaking. So yeah, so we'll have a quick look at it from the other point of view. We'll see the flip side, and we can see some Valentine action. And I don't think I've ever featured the Valentine on my channel before, so yes, we'll get to see that as well. Okay, so I just realised at the end of finishing that last recording, that last replay, that actually no, the colorblind mode was working properly. But they have done something. There is a new bug. Basically, you have to open the replay. Colorblind mode isn't working properly, so you have to go and turn on colorblind mode, then close the replay, then open the replay again, and then change the reticle settings. And it's going to be this way every single time I want to do a replay. So thank you, Wargaming. This is so much fun when you do things like that. Yeah, anyway, Valentine this time, and again, the Brits are outnumbered. We've got pair of Matildas this time, and a pair of Crusaders, so we've got two of each. I did see some battles with the cruisers, but honestly there's not much for a cruiser to do. It's like on the German side, there's not much for the Pz.IIs to do, and the Panzerjägers. I did see a few brave souls using them regardless, but basically it seems to be Crusaders and the Matildas, the Valentines, the Pz.IIIs, Panzer-IV-Ds, and the Stugs. And if you're feeling really brave, you can take something else, but you're probably not going to be able to do much. Now, because the Brits almost always, and not always, but only almost always have inferior numbers, it forces you into a very, very defensive position. And the cap circles on El Haluf, you have to basically stay near them. It's not like some maps where you can kind of go and sit nearby and get back in time to decap if they try and cap you. Because bear in mind, historical battles, you can still be capped. That still counts as a victory. So you're forced into trying to defend a very indefensible position, because yes, we can watch this ridgeline here. As you can see, I've got my binoculars, but that doesn't really protect us from the south very well. So all they need to do is really split up into, say they have a majority coming from one direction and then one or two coming from the other direction, and while we're dealing with the mass on one side, the sneaky fast ones can come up round behind. Now in this case they only had 3 Pz.III, so that's to our advantage. I did find German sides, one of the matches I played today, I did actually manage to get in with SilentStalker, and he was particularly unlucky because his team was a pair of Panzer-IIIs and the rest were literally all Stug-3s. And because the Stug-3s are not brilliantly armoured and they've basically got 75mm derps, well, you can see here what we're going to do to Stug-3s if I can actually hit it. Yeah, that put them at a severe disadvantage. So either the matchmaking gives the Brits an advantage, in which case they've got a fighting chance, or the enemy team just derps so hard that we get given the win. So I am being shot from behind. I'm also being shot from the front, and I think that's a Panzer-IV-D, because the Panzer-IV-D's also got the derp. So I'm just letting my tracks repair. Might as well put down some fire. And at this point, I'm gonna have to turn. The armour on the Matilda is definitely the bounciest, but bear in mind that you do get some premium ammo to play around with. Not very much, but with the Panzer-IIIs it's certainly more than enough. And if you get, let's say, 3 or 4 Panzer-IIIs against a lone Matilda, then, you know, unless the Matilda gets exceptionally lucky, that's it, he's had it. The Stugs, however, are a lot easier, and the Panzer-IV-Ds are also a lot easier. So we've lost a Crusader already, and we've only taken down one Stug, so we're being quite well pressed here. And yeah, it's finding good positions is very, very difficult. It's not hard to outplay the Brits with the Germans if you've got enough numbers. And we've got 2 Matildas. I think 2 Matildas is okay, but it's tough to win. 3 Matildas I think is about right. 4 Matildas made it very, very difficult to win against the British team. So I think 4 is too many, I think 2 is not enough. So that really only leaves, you know, the middle number. So I'm going to go help out this Crusader over here, and there's a Valentine that's kind of guarding that pass, and a Matilda there as well. So, and we just lost the Crusader. So they're just going to gang up on this guy if I don't help him. Oh, I think I hit the front armour there. The front armour of the Pz.III, you know, it's respectable. It's actually not terrible. It's what, 60? I mean, it's not quite as good as the Valentine, but it's nearly as good. And obviously the side armor's not quite as good, and I can just hit the top of that guy, so the armor doesn't really count for anything at all there. The other thing that is a downside of the Valentine in particular that I found, and that I did find in this match, it was at this point I started to notice, actually, I'm running out of ammunition. And I was stupidly trying to use my ammo to knock over that house, because I thought, okay, I'll just knock it down and it's fine. And it's looking a bit dicey at the moment. We've lost half our guys. They haven't, but that guy's a one shot. There we go. And that Valentine's going to die. The amount of ammo you get in the Valentine, I mean, it's alright in the Matilda, but the Matilda is, you know, good luck at queuing up with that. I think I got into one battle with the Matilda. I think I already said that. Basically, I think I queued up twice, and then the third time I got lucky and actually got in with the Matilda. But the Valentine has got much better queue times. You can try the Cruisers as well, or the Crusaders. Honestly, I would at least prefer to have a bit of armour to play around with. Anyway, there's a Stug. I'm going to angle. Not that it really matters, because he's got a derp. I think those things get mostly HE. Yeah, now this is. I thought this was it at this point, that this was the end. There we go, 11 health, and I'm down to my last 5 shells. I'm being surrounded a bit. That guy's a one shot. There we go. Now, if I can get this Stug, this is the last enemy guy, and we do still have a Matilda left. But he can just HE me to death. So, I'm doing alright here, but no, he does kill me. And this was an incredibly close win. The other game I had in a Matilda where I won, where I was in the British team, was also an incredibly close win. Like, I had to work really hard. I think I did 1,000 damage, which, bear in mind, this is the 2-pounder gun. Yeah, I had to do the majority of the damage on that team, and if you don't have somebody that has that right combination of luck and being able to stay alive long enough, and is lucky enough not to get rushed by a swarm of German tanks, it can work, but with 2.5 hours of playtime and less than a third of the battles going in the British team's favour, it isn't balanced, and I think matchmaking could be reworked to address that. But the other thing is, the Germans have generally got better view ranges as well, and one of the things that people have suggested, and that I think would be a good idea, is balancing in terms of hit points. It would make the Cruisers actually worth playing if you could roll around in the Cruiser 2 with 400 hit points, say. And I think this is something that's actually been mentioned in Q&A answers with the devs. But it's just not been implemented. They don't really seem to have... They might have done some back-end tinkering with matchmaking, but honestly, look how close this was. 3 health, and that guy was down to 21. It doesn't really feel like they took any of the lessons of the previous one to heart. They've actually produced something that it was still kind of fun, but if you're not playing the Germans, it's going to be the case that people are going to latch on to this. Well, they're not going to latch on, that's not the right term. Catch on. I was almost right, sounds like. They're going to catch on to the fact that it is a lot harder to win with the Brits. And it's going to be the same pattern all over again. People are going to stop queuing up for the British. Maybe they'll start queuing up for the Germans a lot. And then the wait times will increase. and then people will just give up on it because they're having to queue up for too long. So I really like the idea that SilentStalker had of having a day when he's, everybody says, yeah, for this 2 hours, let's all play historical battles. I like that. That's a good plan. But the historical battles themselves still very much need some work, and it does feel like that they've had the feedback. We had 3 of these things. People made suggestions about what could be done better. Doesn't really feel like they've implemented any of them. So yeah, it's nicer in the lower tiers are more accessible to people, but there are the ideas are there. The ideas have been given by people. Wargaming must know about the ideas that people have had. They must have their own ideas. It just hasn't been implemented. So I can't call this one a success, I'm afraid. I would like to like it, but that's about the best thing I can say about it. So yeah, I might play a bit more. If it's going to be a weekly thing with the FTR historical battles, then I can see dropping in and doing half an hour. But unless something really changes, unless Wargaming actually pull their finger out, this is just going to die the same as the others have. There's no question about it. So if you enjoyed this, you can hit the like button. You can leave a comment below if you agree or disagree. I don't know. Maybe you had really good luck with the Brits. Let me know how it's gone for you below. You can subscribe to my channel, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.